Welcome to Nonprofit Network, powered by Stokes Auction Group. We are a podcast focused on benefit auctions and fundraising events for the nonprofit community. We are a group of fundraising professionals that specialize in raising funds to improve communities of all sizes.
And here it is, episode 11. My name is Shelby Stokes, and on the cast today we have long-timing fundraising support specialist
I
Kelly
don't know what just happened to your
Shenfeld.
mouth.
It's
Long-timing fundraising sports.
Words are fun.
Sports? No, anyway. Kelly Shenfeld.
Kelly Shenfeld, not just a bit spotter, also a ring person, and
Talk
also
about
Mr.
that
Paul
later.
Shenfeld.
Hey, you guys, Mr. Paul here. Thanks for joining us today on Earth Day.
It is.
Earth, that's a big deal.
What is that?
That was
Was
the
that
dolphin.
your dolphin
That's a
impression?
flipper.
Well, that's pretty
Flipper. Anyway.
Is
That one just came out.
Is that like your spirit animal?
Yes, I'll tell you off camera why.
Okay.
Anyway, just a joke. It's fine.
There's a joke.
Earth Day!
Is it because you do backflips in the water? Is that
That's
how that
right.
works?
That's right.
When I was young, I used to pretend I was a dolphin in the pool. But that's not why it's Earth Day. It's not because people are pretending to be dolphins. It's because we're saving the planet.
And you need to. You need to save the
Do it.
planet. Do it. And here's how you do it first off.
Okay.
Step 1.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree. But step 2, stop using straws or buy on Amazon those metal straws or plastic straws that you reuse, right? Because we're going to save turtles.
Yes. I like to tell people I save the planet one straw at a time or one plastic bag at a time.
Every little bit matters.
Well,
It all makes a difference.
and also bags cost us 10 cents in the state of Washington.
Oh,
and that is
right.
not
8
cool.
cents.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I know you
California
round up.
pence.
You're an auctioneer.
I do it round up. $900 sold $1,000.
Okay, good. We're on the same page.
Yeah, so it is Earth Day. We are celebrating. Hug your planet. Go do something good. Take yourself a walk. Enjoy nature. It's a beautiful thing. Last time that we did an official podcast, we did cover timeline. You can check that episode out. And it actually kind of resurged in the auction that I had following that recording. So we're at an event, and it's for a medical fundraising type environment. And so we go in, and they have a production budget that's a little bit less than it was last year. So they're trying to overcompensate, really make it pretty. And the chair says, I have to have a smoke machine. Smoke machine required. We got to take it out. We got to kick it up a notch. We got to have a smoke machine. So we go into the rehearsal about an hour before event, right? Doors are opening in about an hour. Get everything going. And we've already talked to the venue and said, hey, we're going to put a smoke machine on. Make sure you turn the fire alarm. Yeah, we'll turn the fire alarm off. So, of course, we light up the smoke machine, and what happens?
Oh, no.
Fire alarm starts going off. And you know the white flashes that happen where it's like, boop, boop,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have a video of just the ballroom, looking gorgeous, by the way, but these flashing lights happening behind it. It was real tough. And then the fire marshal shows up, rushes past the people in the front to go and turn it off. And it was something else. So, timeline.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, exactly.
The ever-moving timeline.
The ever-moving timeline. So, we had that conversation with the venue. The venue didn't quite hear us. So, best practices in the future: maybe just check in with the venue one last time before you turn that smoke machine on.
That's one way to get the bidders' attention.
It's one way to do it. That is one way to do it. Now, this was before show. There weren't guests there, but it was 30 minutes prior to show that people were, or the fire department was running through the lobby. So,
wow,
pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
I will say that in this particular event, we struggled a lot with the venue, in particular. We had been in the space before in the past. Everything was well dialed, well oiled. It all ran very perfectly. This last show, all new staff. People not really up to the same quality like it was in the past. They had issue with the lights. Kind of came in and said, hey, could you turn the lights up? Turned out half the bulbs were burned out.
Oh, no.
So now you have to grab a ladder to get up to the ceiling, right? It's the high ceilings. So it was just one thing after another. And I really have to applaud the event chair for that event because they kept their cool the entire time. There were multiple ways that the venue had fallen short, whether it be catering, or requests that were made of them. And I tell you what, they held it together, and I don't think the guests knew any differently.
Oh, that's the
was
end goal.
That's all that matters,
That's
right?
the end goal. Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah.
watching a fire alarm go off is
Wow.
Yeah, that's usually fun. Usually fun.
I also had an opportunity to work with another partner in the Seattle market just a couple of weeks ago. And great organization. They basically help adults with disabilities in regards to housing and programs. And essentially what we found in this fundraising event is we went to the venue, which was a golf course, and they said, yeah, we got the sound covered, no problem. So we go to do a mic check, and it just sounds like garbled nonsense, right? I mean, like, that's exactly what we talked about with golf courses in the past. And I hate to paint everybody in the same corner, but watch out. So, all that to say, we had another member come in who used to be a DJ, come in and set up speakers of their own, and that was a lifesaver.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh,
I
yes.
bet.
It really was. It really was. So shout out to Earl. Well done, Earl.
Everybody loves Earl now.
I want to travel with Earl. Earl's the man.
He's a rock star.
So very cool. We also had a couple of hosts that were teachers, and by hosts I mean they were like the event hosts. They helped conduct the event.
Shelby, you have a lot to say so far today.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah, he's the only one that worked last weekend.
I was the only one that worked last weekend.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
so we were like talking with them earlier, trying to get them comfortable, just talking, joking around, and it was Bob and Gabe, or as I call him, Bobo.
Bobo.
I don't know if Bobo appreciated the nickname, but Bobo was.
Cool.
But it goes back to our previous content where we discussed, getting loose and talking with those MCs or event hosts, and they seemed to really vibe off of that. We kind of just told some jokes, went back and forth. We were comfortable early, and it was pretty neat to kind of
really
watch
helps
them
to
play
get to
out.
know each other really well.
Yeah.
I mean, not really well, but get to know each other well enough to be able to work together on
Right.
stage.
And then one thing that I have to
That media
say,
is so important.
yeah, exactly. And one thing that I would have to say is, like, if I could go back and do it differently, I would have scripted them in a little bit earlier in the night, because it was very like the timeline looked very like, okay, I'm going to come up and do a lot of those housekeeping items. It would have been cool to integrate them earlier. I still tried to integrate them earlier, but kind of keep that in mind when you are scheduling out these events, I would say.
Like maybe have them help you do some silent auction announcements.
Yeah, silent auction would have been great. Like the welcome at the beginning of the night would have been great. We also had a couple of speakers in the beginning of the night, which felt like it was going on too long a little bit. I was afraid that we were going to go on forever. And it turned out that the people that were speaking were pretty well-spoken and short in their delivery. But we've seen that go the other way many a time. So I caution you on that. When building a timeline, whoever you're giving the mic to, just know exactly.
I
But
love it when it says, use your best judgment.
use your best judgment. That's right. I'm excited to see where this event goes in the future. Like, it's a great group of people. They didn't know what they were going to raise. They were very excited to see the numbers come out the way they did. So big props to that team. And I really think they have huge growth potential. There was 120-ish people in the room. I think if there are more people in that room, that thing can only continue to thrive.
Wow.
So that's going to be what they're going to do to grow in the future, I think, is try to get more people involved. Hopefully they get that word of mouth going. Hey, come to this event. It's a fun time. Hopefully you can get more people in.
Communicate your mission to your community.
Communicate
and you will get people behind you.
Mission.
Yeah,
Exactly
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've talked about that in one of our podcasts as
We
well.
have.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's the spring. We're near mid to late April, and we have people calling in and asking for support teams to come in like on short notice, right? So we're having clients come in and say, hey, we currently have this team booked. We need additional support on this team to make sure, that this event goes off without a hitch, which kind of feeds into our topic. For
bid spotters.
Topic of the
Professional bid.
Professional
Bid spotters.
And we learned this earlier. Bid spot, is it a bid spotter? Is it a ring? Okay,
Let's
traditionally
stick to what we talked about,
traditionally
and
it's
we'll
been
riff.
ring man. Okay, we like to use ring person because it's the 21st century.
This is an auctioneer
But
talking to a
we
ringman.
feel that bid spotter might sell these individuals short. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, essentially, what we're covering is that right-hand person to an auctioneer to make sure that event goes off without a hitch.
Right.
So today we're going to talk about what that individual does. How do they help conduct and help the team succeed in an environment?
And why you, as an event planner, are better served by a team
Exactly.
as opposed to just an auctioneer.
Yeah, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier too. Like, we prefer to go out with 2-person teams, right?
Smart.
A lead person and also a secondary person to kind of help manage those different inner workings. So we're going to talk about some of those inner workings, try to show you some of the benefits of having that secondary person to kind of help cross some T's and dot some I's. And at the end of this show, we're going to highlight some of our teams.
We're going to draw a name.
That's right. And we're going to send out a gift card.
We're going to send out a gift
Send out
card.
a gift card! So someone's getting paid at the end of this episode.
Cool.
Yeah.
If you are listening on the audio version, you're going to see some pictures if you're watching the video version, so check it out. But Paul, I want you to go first. Tell us a little bit about a bid spotter / ringman / support person.
Okay. What you might understand as a bid spotter is somebody that's out there, taking the bids and dealing with the audience. But there's a whole heck of a lot more to that than just those guys out there spotting bids. I mean, first of all, you need a good bid spotter that's going to educate themselves about your organization. Mm-hmm. Because us as auctioneers and whoever you hire as auctioneer, they're doing the same thing. So the bid spotters should be responsible for doing the same. You want to go in there as a united front for whatever the organization is, whatever your mission is, that you can sell it, whether you're on the microphone or not. For me, one of the many benefits of a professional bid spotter on site is the organizational aspect. And I'm talking back of the house stuff. I'm talking live auction item forms. The forms that you have on your recorder's table that record the live auction item number, the dollar amount that it's sold to, or that it's sold for, and the bidder number that it's sold to. That is a live auction bid form. Also, fund and need forms. You have to be able to track all of your different fund and need levels. Believe it or not, folks, we have gone into events where none of that stuff was there. Right? So for me, I will ask my professional bid spotter after our early meeting. I'll say, okay, so-and-so, you go handle the back of the house. I'll go out and I'll start working the silent. This one particular auction, we didn't even have a recorder's table. And folks, if you don't know this already, recording the live auction income is the most important job of the entire night.
Right, and essentially that bid spotter or ringman provides a second set of notes to cross-reference whoever's in charge of putting that together. Now, the case you're talking about, they didn't even have like a primary working on it. So now it falls on the support team to make sure that all those numbers get to the bank. Because those numbers don't get to the bank, they never happen.
They never happen.
Essentially.
So that person can be there and take the lead and be the lead of your volunteers and help them navigate, because some of these volunteers may have never done this job before. Mm-hmm. So you need to have a strategically placed table off the stage where they can hear. They have to be able to hear.
Good call.
I mean, we get right down to the nitty gritty here. They got to be able to understand what the auctioneer is saying, record the dollar amount, and then record the number. Second is training other volunteers. We have VANAs, or item display models. That, well, if we're selling class projects, you're going to bring up a class project, right? Well, somebody needs to coordinate that.
Right.
And our bid spotters will work with your volunteer coordinator and just help facilitate that. Timing is important. They have to be staged on ready. When item number 2 is coming next, they got to be there. We can't be waiting. Okay? Runners take the winning bid sheets out to the winning bidder and have them sign them, and then they continue on and take that sheet to the bank. As Shelby mentioned, that has to be recorded. Mm-hmm. These are some of the most important jobs of the entire event is calculating the dollars and who bought the item.
Yeah, so
numbers, right?
I mean, your point, like, where does that bid spotter come in, or bid spotter, support guy, whatever we want to call it? That individual is basically helping orchestrate those other pieces, right? I mean, to make sure that it all runs.
So it's just for us. You may not need any help during that part. You may have a volunteer coordinator that's good and dialed in. Mm-hmm. Good, that's great. But if not, we are here to help you and happy to do so.
Well, and Paul and I are both auctioneers in our own right. Kelly is not, so she is probably the most experienced.
Okay,
in
I got
this
one more thing to
women's
say.
Oh,
supportive
okay. You
role.
just keep talking, auctioneer.
Yeah,
What are you
got
talking?
one more thing to
You,
add.
now that you interjected, Mr. Auctioneer, Mr. Auctioneer, go ahead and talk more.
I think it's important that once the back of the house stuff is solid, the volunteers, registration, runners, vannas, once that's good, then that spotter needs to focus on the room and be able to read the room. Be able to read the room and know where the money is and be the voice of the auctioneer out there in the audience, right?
Yeah.
Encourage people to bid. Encourage them and be on their side. It's like, hey, we're going to buy this item tonight, okay? And the bid spotter's right down there with them. And then lastly, thank everybody.
Yeah.
Thank the bidders, even if they got outbid. I think it's very, very important, and that's what a really good bid spotter can provide. It's part of the customer experience. Hey, you didn't win that trip to Hawaii, Kelly, but thanks for bidding. We couldn't have got there without you.
Now,
Thank you.
Do you do that, Kelly?
I do many things, Shelby. Shelby, when you guys are done talking your auctioneer stuff, you go ahead and
Listen,
I'll go ahead and talk a little
you
bit.
mentioned we were auctioneers. We're never done talking.
That is the truth.
We've got one professional bid spotter here, and she's right here, and it's her turn to talk.
Yeah.
And it's my turn to talk. I agree with everything that these gentlemen have said. However, most of it. But I do think, because those of you that are watching are probably looking to do an event, I do think that the biggest add to any event, and not everybody agrees on this, is a team. And because two things happen with a team. Number one, there's a cohesiveness that happens, and it also gives the people on site a bit of a reprieve, knowing, oh my gosh, I'm handled. Mm-hmm. This person brought somebody with them. Whether, professional bid spotter, I understand that's the lingo out there. I support it, whatever. I think it's much more than that. I think that you're not just spotting bids. And when you say professional bid spotter, you're assuming by hiring us, and I'm not selling Stokes Auction Group, I'm just saying
but
that we can hook you up with a team, right?
Yeah. And bid spotter sells that position short.
It sells that position extremely short. I think it's auction team. We have different levels of auction team. You have auction team 1, which is you're just going to get your auctioneer. Then you have auction team 2, which is a support person and your auctioneer. What does that support person do? Is it worth that money for me to have that support person? Hell yes, it is. Sorry for the HE double toothpicks, but it's true. It's Earth Day.
This whale. This whale is so offended that you used the H word.
But it's worth it.
He's jumping out of his seat.
And the reason is for everything that these guys said, as well as being there for the support of the team that put the auction together. Yeah. When you walk in there as a professional bid spotter or support staff, which is, I'm going to use that word, support staff, when you walk in there with your auctioneer as an auction team, and you're in the meetings together and you let your auctioneer lead it, but you are letting that person know that everything that they just worked 1 year on, if not longer, we are now going to take off of you and we are going to make it happen for you. Now, that professional person that is coming along with, they're going to handle everything from making sure that timeline is followed, because the timeline is great, but you give it to a guy and he's on the mic and he's got a million things going on. He's got people chipping at him. He's got this that he knows is coming. He's got that he knows is coming. But it's easy for him to skip timelines unless he has somebody to keep him on track. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody says something to that support person that the auctioneer needs to know, instead of interrupting that auctioneer, you become that neck. You're basically the connector between the head and the body. And I think that's a huge piece of having. Now, these boys will both say, and did at lunch, but you know what? It's just that you don't necessarily need support staff at everyone. And I agree with that. However, it depends on what you want for your auction. It depends on when you're watching this podcast and you're thinking about, how am I going to put forth my best foot after working on something for 1 year? That is going to be how you put your best foot forward, is by creating that team and having the right coverage. And then you have your volunteers out there. That's great. They can be helpful. But there's a lot to it, guys.
Yeah, and I think
There's a lot to it.
That is the heart of this, right? And what we discussed at lunch, like, is it better to have a 2-person team or a 1-person team? The answer is always 2-person team. Always, 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 always. It's always better to have 2 people on site that know the auction craft rather than 1. Because there are so many interlocking pieces that go together that could potentially ruin, like, if one of those pieces don't interlock correctly, it could ruin the event or cause a very big issue down the road.
It's something that an auctioneer does, is that their job is to not only grab the bids off the floor, but your job is to lift the energy of the room.
Agreed.
That is probably more so your job than just saying bidder 259, and clicking bids.
Let's take one of those examples, right? Say you're a 1-person team without a support person, and you go in there, and then all of a sudden a donor comes up and says, "Hey, I have a cabin that I'd like to donate to the auction." All of a sudden that auctioneer who's supposed to be running the show and providing the entertainment is now off mic talking with this individual.
Sidetracked, and it gets him off the timeline.
Exactly. And all of a sudden the whole
show stops.
The whole
show stops.
Right? So to your point, it's necessary in that scenario.
It is necessary in that. And in some of the, I think the necessary piece is also for those organic doubles, like you said.
Right.
But for the energy lifter. So you guys are supposed to lift the energy to the room, right? You and me working together, or Mark Schanfeld and Kelly Schanfeld working together, which is a fantastic team. Feel free to call Stokes Auction Group and hire us.
Some would say one of the best.
Anyway, I just all jammed up. Anyway, totally joking, but not. That energy that's developed between you and Willie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Between you and Chris Pratt,
right.
Joel and Emma, all of that. Whatever that energy you get going.
Brian Johnson,
Don Jones, Ryan Massey, even though, all the things. You know what I mean? You just get that connect going, and it feels like a show. Even though we're there to do for you, we're there to get all the money off the floor. We change the dynamic the second the team is involved, and it becomes this thing, and it's alive, and it's not just one man up there doing that. And the professional bid spotter has an important role in that they are who that auctioneer can banter off of. You have to be very careful as an auctioneer to banter off of people in the crowd. You can do it, but you don't know their history, right? But you can create that energy with your bid spotter. And you've got raffles that your bid spotter has to worry about. You've got totals. A lot of organizations want to know, hey, this is what the silent did. And is there a way that by the end of the night you could give me a total? I tell all my folks, you bet. You know what? You tell me what you did in the silent and what your raffles did and wine poll or whatever you did. And I'll give you live and fun to eat.
Yeah, and I think like all these things that we're discussing are best practices of that support person. Call them a bid spotter, a ring person, whatever you want to call them. But at the end of the day, that individual is dedicated to making sure that event runs as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, they are so much more than a bid spotter.
Exactly, and you compare a professional bid spotter, and we're having professional do a lot of lifting there. But one of those individuals compared to a volunteer that's just going to sit there and yip and here's the bid, way different, like totally. Night and day. And that's kind of what we look for in bid spotters, both on our team and when we go out and provide services when we don't have a bid spotter on staff. We want somebody that's going to go above and beyond what an amateur or volunteer bid spotter would do, but we also want them to try to field reports for that auctioneer so they can speak intelligently about who's donating in the room. We want them to record what's going on, as Paul mentioned. We also want that protection, like Kelly mentioned. When that auctioneer is lifting the room and on stage, the auctioneer needs someone to play defense and let them do what they do. Otherwise, it'll derail the whole event, as previously mentioned. So there's a lot of different pieces that are happening here. So if you're on the fence, do I need a bid spotter or do I not need one? We're seeing people call in and say, no, send someone now.
Yeah, 2 weeks before an event.
2 weeks before.
3 weeks before an event.
And the reason is, previously mentioned, that venue that was all up and sideways, a bid spotter was necessary to put out those fires, right?
Right.
Necessary.
And
let's talk a little bit about that. Your first, one of the first things you do after your auctioneer meeting with the on-site staff, is you meet with the banquet manager.
Yeah. So
why do you do that?
I meet with the banquet manager, me personally, for 2 reasons. Number one, I need to be able to have already talked to that banquet captain so that when I come to them at Fund a Need and say, no, stop serving, I'm not just some flake out of the corner,
Gotcha.
right? Because that's the one time of the night you want no action. You want nothing happening at any times during your Fund a Need, Raise a Paddle, Fund a Cure. You want nothing going on that floor except that auctioneer up there and the videos and the speakers and the give. That's all you want going there. Second thing is if I want to talk to them about how are we looking, you know? I mean, because a lot of
lighting?
No, not lighting, because that's a different guy. The banquet captain, sometimes that's production.
How you looking? How's my lighting? How you looking?
How you looking?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, you know, depending on you've already. See, this tells you what they don't know what they do, and this is what we do.
I'm looking fly.
So they're
today.
still
Thanks
worried
for
about what
asking.
they look like up on stage,
Exactly.
and I'm like, oh, just a minute, let me wipe the
I
sweat from
prefer
running.
20-watt light.
Anyway,
white light.
You also have to be able to go to that captain and say, you know, are the entrees, how many more entrees do we need to have set? Because some organizations will say, you know what, you can start the live auction as soon as all the entrees are set. Or, you know, you got a dessert dash. We need to, when is it, to hold off on the dessert. You need to be able to have that open communication. And you need to be able to know when you get there, when could you get a cup of coffee?
Right.
Support.
Caffeine.
Right.
If you don't
Right?
do caffeine,
Yeah.
So,
might as well
I mean,
cancel
you
the
know,
event.
we
Like
might
I'm
as well
telling you.
cancel the event if you're not going to let me have a cup of coffee before
Yeah,
we're
cup
raising a
of
pile of
Joe.
money for you.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Right.
It's great to become friends with
Right.
that person because
It
you're going to
is.
need that person.
And you're going to dance with their people
You're
all
gonna
night
need 'em,
long.
right?
And
Yeah.
and I've even had the rare opportunity where I will see the captain having their meeting prior to, you know, let's say we have a meeting in the room, and I'll see that the captain is meeting with all of the servers, and I interject and say, hey, everybody, I just wanted to let you know I'm going to be the person you dance with tonight. So if I run into you, oh my gosh, give me a squeeze, say hello,
And
I
by-
apologize.
And by dance, you mean
I
moving
mean,
in between
moving
the tables.
in between the tables and them carrying trays, and I just want them to know that we're a part of everything, and we're going to be working out there together.
Mhm.
So those rare opportunities I love when I can just go up to the whole group, and then they all are like, "Oh, okay, cool, I'm going to watch her."
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You
They're
know?
all together.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Kelly.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
gonna be
going to
working
probably
together
bump into
tonight.
you tonight, and you're going to bump
Yeah.
into me, but it's cool. And then the other person that I like to, you know, figure out your production guy. So, you know, my husband will go up and say, hey, I'm Mark Shempel, the auctioneer tonight, if it's not our team or whatever. And, you know, he'll do his sound check. I go around and see where his sound is. But I like to be able to get a hold of the people with the lighting to remind them, because even though it's in the script sometimes that lights go down a certain level at the Fund a Need or the Fund a Cure or the Raise the Paddle, that
Very
gets
cool.
forgotten. You know, it does get
Good
forgotten.
point. Yeah.
So you got to know to who you're going to, and it's not always going to be the people that are doing the sound. It's going to probably be somebody else, but they'd be able to direct you to who it is. So it's all that little stuff that I probably take it as seriously as I do because it's my buddy, and I want it to really go well as when you guys call in and want us to host an event for you or work for you for an event. We take it seriously, and we want it to be really super effective. And so, you know, I suppose you could probably get some other ringmen or bid spotters on here that might have a different take on it.
I mean, definitely. I mean, everyone paints with a different brush, right? But essentially, I think that what we see time and time again is when you have that support person who knows how these events have looked in the past, they know where to push and where to put their efforts in order to best succeed. You know, we can bring up multiple examples. You know, there was one event where auctioneer showed up. I mentioned it before. There was no bid spotters, or there was no bid numbers whatsoever. So they had no way of indicating who was who and who the contributions would be credited towards.
We had one that just held up flags.
But yeah, right. So, but the
Okay.
bid spotter ended
Well.
up helping, grabbing a Sharpie and writing those numbers
Yep.
on the back of catalogs, right? Now, if the auctioneer is preparing for that event and now there's no support
He can't
person,
do that.
you can't be two places at once, right? It's not going to happen. So, like, that's one example. Another example was one that you mentioned earlier with Willie, right? Not having any recorders, and all of a sudden you can kind of say, hey, can you go take care of this? And then I'm going to go do my thing, and then before you know it, you can divide and conquer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so vital that we can focus on why you hired us. Our jobs at that time are to pitch and promote your silent auction items, talk about your raffles, talk about the golden raffle tickets, and prepare for the live auction. I mean, frankly, having to put out fires takes us away from all of those duties.
Yeah.
They have to
Having
seek.
somebody to be able to do that on our behalf is priceless.
Yeah, and they have to seek out in the room where the mirrors are so they can check their hair every now and then. That's a very important thing. So, that's time consuming.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. You got to be able to powder your nose, and you don't want to do it like in front of everyone, right?
Yeah, and let's not even mention, we're I'm thinking in the back of my mind, room of 100, 200, 300 people. Think about a large venue. Think about 800 to 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Right? Do you want volunteer spotters that are, 75 yards away from you trying to spot bids on a big event like that? No, you're going to want to put that in the hands of a professional.
Yeah, and I think what we are kind of getting at is all the many things the support team is up against when they walk into these events. It can be a whole list of things, but if you have this secondary person that can help facilitate what is happening, the better off you are. 90% of the time, our teams go out in teams of 2. And the reason is because we don't know what we're walking into. For one reason or another, whether it be budgetary constraints or staffing issues, whatever the case may be, sometimes we roll with 1. But more often than not, 2 people teams knowing that we're going to walk into something and it's going to have to be addressed, right? I use the analogy of, let's say you walk into an event, you have 20 fires burning. One person can only put out so many of those fires before that event takes place. You double the manpower, the more effective you are at having a successful event. So there's a lot of different things that can be focused on, but know that the team has to be dedicated to succeeding. And we see that a lot with our team members, and we're very proud of our team members. And I don't think anyone takes it more seriously than this gal next to
Let
me.
me just tell you, and I am not selling us, and we haven't done that in any podcast, but people, you need to get with it and hire the team.
People.
We are a team group,
That
and
is
we're
exactly
worth
right.
every
You will
single
divide
time.
and
Yeah.
conquer.
Divide and conquer.
So within our monthly newsletter for our members, we put out the call and said, hey, we want you to submit your favorite picture of a bid spotter.
Now, is that
for
the
us
one
to
where
review.
Adam split his pants?
This is the picture that you see on the screen right now is a guy by the name of Adam Micah,
Awesome.
stellar individual.
Going to be a grandfather here
Gonna
in
be
about a week.
grandfather here. So now what we're going to do is highlight some of our team members. Adam actually inspired not only this topic that we're discussing today, but we said, hey, bid spotters, submit your best photo, and then we're going to pick a winner, and they're going to get a gift card.
A gift card.
So there's Adam in the action, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
he's
You
a
can see him
mover and
moving
shaker,
around.
isn't he?
Oh, he is.
mover
He
and
has
shaker.
so much
He can
fun.
light up a room.
Yeah.
He can just his energy.
Yeah, he
He
can.
can light up a room. People feed off of it.
And there again, it goes back to that energy we were talking about.
Yeah.
It also gives that auctioneer somebody to play off of,
Right.
and that's what you guys are, that's what that's about, is really raising that energy in the room. Oh my gosh,
That's
there's
exactly
Tracy.
right. Yeah, so this next photo is Tracy and Adam. They're out there in front of the harbor looking good. So big props to that team. We also have one here from Mr.
Two of the
Merrill
faves
and
right there.
Brady and Coach.
Oh,
Yeah.
love it.
I love
sure.
that.
Rocking and rolling. And Mike is actually an auctioneer in his own right.
Yep.
So he is a sport guy first and foremost. Liked it so much he went to auction school and is now calling quite a bit in his own.
Oh, look at that.
Look at
here's
these two.
one from Randall and Dan Watt. Jeff Randall and Dan Watt there, and they're on stage in front of the band looking pretty dapper.
That's a couple of veterans right there.
Yeah,
How many years
boy.
experience
Oh.
between those two?
There's
40
Randall in
plus.
his vest.
Yeah,
Look at
40
that.
plus.
Always with the good
Yeah.
vest. Yeah, so big ups to Watto out there.
Oh, look at that little cutie patootie.
Mr. Sean Hamilton and I. This is actually the event where the fire alarm went off. Believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine that room with a blinking light in the background.
I can actually.
Yeah, so big props to Sean. Thank you so much for jumping in.
He stepped in as a team player, didn't he?
You know what, you guys,
One
and
of
these
our veteran
pictures,
auctioneers.
yeah, and he's a veteran auctioneer, but these pictures are showing you that team piece.
Right.
Team. It's not just, it's
Yeah.
so impressive. I love it.
And it was so happy to have Sean there. I have to say, like, Sean was probably calling auctions before I was even a thought.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
Sure.
I mean,
He was.
he's definitely the senior in that photo. But we're a team, so we do whatever we can. Here's Watt and Randall again in front of a pretty cool car that they offered. So good job.
oh, look at that little
look at
guy.
this
It's a
one.
sweetheart.
Hey. There's Mr. Shinfield and Willie. Willie's looking good in that
Supposed to
picture.
get the one without the
It's
chins.
looking good. Willie's looking
Sing that
good.
Willie was a
Wrong
rock star that night. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, that was the one with a rough sound. Here's the one that we mentioned time and time again that had no
Nothing. No. Yeah. No.
bid
No.
paddles.
Yeah.
This is Team Rickman. This is Dave and Kate, and they are rocking and rolling at one of the events.
Yep.
Excuse
They
me.
make a great team too.
They do.
Oh
They
man,
have
it's so much fun.
too.
Yeah, they do.
Father daughter. It's awesome.
For sure, they got the masks and all. So so we've highlighted all of our team members, and I tell you what we are essentially going to do now is we said we were going to choose our favorite photo, but there's just too many.
Too
good
many,
ones to
and
choose.
How do
so
you make a choice?
we just
between
showed
all
you a
those?
few
There's
of
no
them.
way.
How do you make a choice when you just cop out and draw them at random?
Okay,
right?
and by the way, it was a quality professional bid spotter's idea to draw these. Let's just talk about
right?
that.
The highest of quality.
Highest of quality.
How come we didn't put a picture of you in there?
You know what? Because Mark and I are all about the team.
Oh, it's okay.
We're not about
That
winning.
was a
I don't.
really good question.
I mean,
Shelby.
Paul and I had pictures in there.
You're the only one that didn't have a picture.
Well, that's because you guys are auctioneers and I'm a ringman or bid spotter. So
How does
I'm
my hair look?
exactly.
Narcissist says what?
Yeah. My point exactly.
Funny, Shelby.
We're gonna let you go ahead and draw,
Okay, I'm gonna
Paul.
reach in there.
Yeah.
Okay, all joking aside, we're going to send this next person
And
a gift
the
card.
winner is
Drum roll.
Watt and Randall.
Watt and Randall.
Randall, you
Well
don't get the gift
done.
card.
No.
Just Watt does.
Oh,
Danny
but-
Watt
Watt.
does.
Oh, Danny
well
Watt.
deserved.
Yeah,
He's
Watto.
been around forever.
Yeah,
Yes.
great
One
guy.
of our best. He's
Absolutely great guy.
Agreed. Cool as a
Yeah.
cucumber all the time.
All the
and
time.
he's probably one of the funnier people on
Oh
our
my
team.
gosh.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Flat floor to
So again, just know that you know what I know. We might have talked about that a little bit today about hiring us out and things like that. But you know what? It's okay to say that when we're that confident about a team and we care that much about your event, and the fact that you gave us 2 seconds today and you let us share with you the importance of that means a lot to a person of myself. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we
Well said.
appreciate you being with us once again. We please check us out. Follow us on Facebook. You can find a video version of this cast where we show you some of our teammates on YouTube. So if you're not watching on YouTube, please check us there. Subscribe, like, comment if you'd be so kind. If you'd rather send us an email, you can feel free to do that. Our email address is auction@stokesauctiongroup.com. And if you like what you hear, please leave us a review, 5 stars if you'd be so kind. Intro music by Brighter Days Ahead by Mixard. And once again, we appreciate you joining us once again this week.
All right, go out, be bold, everybody. Love Mother Earth.
Yes. Love Mother Earth. Let's save some turtles. Get rid of the straws. Be healthy.
And of course, we ask you to go and do good. Thanks for being with us, guys.
We out.
See ya!
Later.
Happy Earth Day!